Hi everybody, welcome back to Marie's Kitchen. I'm so glad you're here. Today is the salad show. I'm going to show you my 4 favorite salads, and although this show may not be as exciting as some of my others, I hope that these will be recipes that you use the most. They're recipes that we as a family use on a weekly basis, and they're great for weeknight dinners, as well as dinner parties or potlucks, as well as bigger holiday celebrations. So keep these in mind for the upcoming holidays. And they're all so easy. I can't wait to share them with you. Let's get started. The first salad we're gonna make is a roasted beet salad. And wait, don't go anywhere. Even if you hate beets, I know a lot of people do, you can sub in roasted sweet potatoes if you don't like beets. But if you do like beets, you're gonna love this salad. Okay, so first up, let's talk quickly about beets. These are red beets. You can buy golden beets. They will work just as well for this salad, and I actually like them better because they don't get red everywhere. So the first thing you need to do is just wash the beets under running water. Now the next step is to double wrap in aluminum foil. So you just take your beet, and we're just going to wrap it once in aluminum foil, and then one more time. And the reason I do it twice is because they leak a lot. The juices can stain too. And so rather than have to clean up a big mess, I'd rather just wrap it twice and make sure it's all contained. They're less likely to leak all over your roasting pan. So this is just an oven safe roasting pan. I'm just gonna set the beet in there, and then we'll do our second one. Now we're gonna roast the beets, and that does take an hour and a half. So this is a great one to do ahead. So keep this in mind as a make ahead tip. You can roast your beets the morning before, the day before, 2 days before. It makes it a lot easier when it's time to put the salad together if your beets are already roasted. All right, into the oven. Okay, I'm gonna swap this out again because these beets, they really do stain. I'm gonna use a white plastic cutting board. And these beets I did roast earlier this morning, so they're still warm, but I think they're cool enough to where I can handle them. So what we'll do is just unwrap them, and then we're gonna head over to the sink, and I'm gonna show you a hack for peeling them that is so easy. Just open these up. And even if you're not making the salad, I mean, roast beets this way. It's so great, it's so easy. Have them in the fridge and just add a few to whatever you like beets on. Which for me is not very much, but I do like them on salads with either goat cheese or feta. I love that, and a nice vinaigrette. So what we're gonna do, this is an amazing hack to peel beets. It's so easy. All you're gonna do is take your beet out of the foil, turn on some running water, and this does 2 things. It cools it down, and then it also, there's a place to put the skins, which is right into your disposer, and they peel right off. And as you're going, you're washing your hands too, so they're not getting too stained. And there is a roasted peeled beet. Let's do one more. If anyone tells you to peel a beet with a vegetable peeler or something, do not do it. Do this instead. It's just so simple. And it wipes right off, all of it. We got a nice big peeled beet. There we go. And there's just no mess. You know I'm all about no mess. Now for the beets, I'll usually trim the end here, like that. And then you can just cut right down like this into about 1/2 inch, say, slices. The knife goes right through, looking good. Or you can do in half if you want to do a little smaller slice, say, so maybe we'll do that in half. And really now that the beets are done, the rest of the salad is just simple assembly. First, we're just gonna add some mixed greens on here. And when I buy mixed greens at the grocery store, I always come home and put a paper towel inside. This is to absorb moisture, so you don't have as much moisture in there, because that's what causes the greens to deteriorate and mold. So use a paper towel, that will absorb the moisture, and these greens will last a lot longer. This is about 5 ounces mixed greens, and this would be, of course, for like a big, dinner party or holiday celebration. You just pile those on. Next, we'll add some cherry tomatoes. And my tip for cherry tomatoes is I really prefer to buy them on the vine. I think they have a lot better flavor, so if you can find that at your grocery store, Might want to give them a try. And we'll just toss those on the salad like this. Next is your choice of cheese, and I have some feta here, or you could use goat cheese. Both are really lovely with the beets and the walnuts that we're going to add to it. So we'll just crumble that right on. I love the salty feta with that earthy beet flavor. Okay, next step is your choice of nuts. We've got walnut pieces already chopped here, or these are some honey roasted walnut pieces. I know that some of you are trying to avoid sugar, so you can certainly do that and just use the basic nut. So we'll just sprinkle our walnut pieces right on top of the salad like that. This is about 1/3 cup, or about 60 grams. Now we just have our beets to add, and we'll do that at the very end because, again, I don't want to turn everything pink. Now we're going to make our homemade dressing. If you're not making homemade vinaigrettes yet, you've got to start. They're so much better than store-bought. They have fewer ingredients and they're just delicious, and you can get creative with them in a lot of different ways. So while I usually use extra virgin olive oil, you can use something like walnut oil. Since we're using walnuts as the nut in this salad, you could use walnut oil. Same if you switched out for pistachio, try pistachio oil. Mix things up a little bit. We're going to use 1/2 cup of our walnut oil. Now to that, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of my favorite vinegar, which is white balsamic vinegar. Now we'll add a generous pinch of salt and some freshly ground pepper. And this dressing is done. We're just going to whisk it together. One thing you can do if you like is add a little splash of maple syrup to the vinaigrette. Gives it just a hint of sweetness, kind of round out the flavors. Get a new fork. Again, whisk that up. Love that. You can't even taste that it's sweet, but it's just a little more rounded and balanced. So this vinaigrette is ready to go. We've got our salad put together here. We've got our roasted beets and our salad dressings. Now for the marinated broccoli salad. And this is one that I literally grew up on. My dad made the recipe and we just had it all the time at our house growing up. Okay, so what I have here is 1 bunch of organic broccoli. And I'll just show you how I cut mine. I went ahead and washed this under the sink, gave it a really good rinse, and then just kind of shook it dry. And then to cut it, what I usually do is, you can see these little florets, how they're attached on right there. I just take my knife and I just kind of cut right at the floret. It's a good place to start for getting some kind of bite-sized pieces. So right there at the floret where it connects. And then it'll turn into just kind of a bunch, and there's no real clear place that they connect. So for that, 1 more trim, and then just cut off, cut that into maybe 1/3 or 1/4. Basically, you want some bite-sized pieces of broccoli here. And some of these are a little big, so I'll probably cut them in half. Now we'll take our broccoli florets and we're going to steam them. And we steam them just until tender. You don't want mushy broccoli for this salad because you're going to marinate it in a dressing. And so you need to have kind of a firm piece of broccoli to stand up to the dressing. So what I've got here is a pot and then my little steamer basket that goes right inside. And then you put that in your pot and then you fill the water in just to the very bottom of the steamer basket. There we go. Now I've got our broccoli inside our steamer basket with a little water underneath. And we're going to put that on the stove. And this is the trick that my dad always told me. We're going to put a lid on it. And then when you can smell the broccoli, it's done. And so I know that's not a great reliable test, but it really is true. So you'll be like cooking along, and then you'll be like, I smell the broccoli. And then you know it's ready. So set a timer for 5 to 8 minutes, but also just see if you can smell it. It kind of seeps out of this lid just a little bit and you'll start to smell it. And as soon as you smell it, then you know it's the right amount of tenderness, and we'll go ahead and pull the broccoli out and let it cool. Now beyond the broccoli, the rest of the salad is just some simple chopping. So very easy. You can put your spouse on it or your child. Okay, next up, let's do some cucumbers. I have these little baby Persian cucumbers, which I really like. They're nice and crispy, and they don't have really big seeds in them, and you don't have to peel them. So I love these. They're nice and bite-sized too. So I just chop these up. Next is some mushrooms, and these are already sliced. I love mushrooms, especially when they soak up all that vinaigrette. So I'm gonna use kind of a lot of mushrooms. Almost the whole pack here. Okay, the broccoli's done, and I wanna show you real quick what that looks like so you can get an idea. It's got a bright green color. It doesn't have that kind of chalky color of raw broccoli, but you can see it's still pretty crisp. And then to stop it from cooking, you do wanna go ahead and move it over to, I put it in a colander, and that way any water will just drip out, and it's a good way to cool the broccoli. And that was about steaming for about 8 to 10 minutes. Next step is a bell pepper. You can use red or orange. I'm using orange since we already have red tomatoes. I like to have all the colors of the rainbow when possible. We've washed and dried this, and then I'm just going to, what I do is I just cut off the edge, and then you can cut around like this. And there's your seeds and stalk that you don't need. So real easy way to cut bell pepper. And then it can be a little bit tough to cut through the skin out here, so you can either cut it into strips that way, or you can cut it into strips here on the inside where it's a little easier to cut without the tough skin. Okay, the last two items, and keep in mind that pretty much all of these except the broccoli are optional. I don't love raw onion, so I usually leave it out, but I will put a little bit in, and it is such a beautiful color. This purple of the red onion, I just love that color added onto the salad. So I just trim this end off, and then I'm gonna go right down the middle here. And if you have a problem where you cry a lot when you cut onions, store your onions, or even just if you don't store them there, just before you cut them for about an hour or so, toss them in the fridge. The cold air will neutralize the compounds that make you cry. So it's always a great solution if you cry a lot when you cut onions. It looks good. Less than a quarter of an onion. Okay, the final ingredient before the dressing are some Kalamata olives, and these are pitted whole olives. You're welcome to slice these in half if you like them in a little bit smaller pieces. I'm gonna keep it simple here and just keep them whole. And you know, about 12 to 15 is a good amount for this big salad. Now it's time to make the dressing. For this dressing, we're gonna use about a ½ cup olive oil, and then 3 tablespoons white balsamic vinegar. Again, if you don't want it quite so acidic, if you like the vinegar a little more mild in your salads, then just take it back 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Now we'll add a little salt, kind of a lot of salt, and some freshly ground pepper. And then one thing I really like to add to this vinaigrette is a little bit of whole grain or Dijon mustard, just a tiny bit, like a 1/4 teaspoon, just a little bit for a little extra flavor, and then it also helps the dressing hold together or emulsify. It helps emulsify the dressing, so we'll give that a little whisk here with the mustard in there. Great flavors, I love that. So now let's assemble the broccoli salad. We'll add our broccoli first, and we can add our tomatoes in there. And this is just such a beautiful salad. All the colors, I love it. It is gorgeous on the table. Really stunning. And our bell pepper. We can add our olives in next, with a whole rainbow almost. And finally some purple onion. Drop those guys in, so pretty. And this is a great one to take to a potluck because it can sit and marinate. You know, it can sit out for a little while. People can eat it when they're ready. You don't have to have it in the refrigerator. It's not gonna get soggy. It just gets actually better with flavor. So there is the marinated broccoli salad. Really a stunning, stunning salad, and this is all thanks to my dad. He came up with this recipe. All right, for our third salad, we're making a kale and Brussels sprout salad, and this is inspired by a local pizza restaurant here in town in Austin that I love that has a kale and Brussels sprout salad, and it is so good. I actually don't like kale very much, and so when I had this salad, I was very pleasantly surprised. It was so delicious, and I wanted to recreate it at home. So that's what we're doing today, and this is some curly kale that I bought, and I prefer to buy the kale not already chopped. If you buy kale chopped, like pre-chopped in a bag, they often will have these really big stems in there, and I just think that's kind of unappetizing. So if you're gonna buy kale, I recommend that you go ahead and chop it yourself. Even though it's tempting to go ahead and use that shortcut, I really don't like having, sometimes you'll get half the bag is just, you know, these giant stems, and that's just not very appetizing. And you just cut the leaves off that stem. You can also tear them off. Just tear that big stem off. Pop those in there. So there we go. Got our kale in here, and I'm going to give it a rinse. Like that. Make sure all the water's drained out. And this comes back over here, and we'll give it a spin. Then check under here, and now you see here's all that water in there. So you're going to want to dump that out. And then give it another spin. Now what I usually do is just take a paper towel or a clean dish towel, just kind of toss it, just kind of dry it off a little more, because again, water in your salad can just really ruin it. It gets so watery, and the dressing doesn't taste as good, and it's kind of soupy. So make sure your greens, broccoli, whatever you're using, make sure it's dry. All right, now it's time to chop the kale. Just gonna bring it into a big bunch here, and I like it in nice small pieces. It's easier to eat that way. So just some nice thin kind of strips chopped. There we go. You could do all kale for this, or a mixture of the kale and Brussels sprouts. Either way, if you don't have the Brussels sprouts, you know, just do all kale. For the Brussels sprouts, I did buy them already shaved. As one shortcut I will always take. So we'll just add our kale and Brussels sprouts right to the beautiful white platter. All right, the next step for this kale Brussels sprout salad, I use some dried apricots. If you prefer, the restaurant that I'm basing this off of actually uses little orange slices, like tangerine slices. So if you want something fresh and juicy, feel free to throw that in. Citrus is very, you know, it's a wonderful winter fruit. So if you like oranges in it, feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'm just gonna quarter some dried apricots here. I love the color, and then I like the kind of tangy sweet flavor. Now we'll just sprinkle our apricots right over the top here. That orange and green is so lovely for fall. Next up, I'm using about a quarter cup of Marcona almonds, and these can be a little bit harder to find and also a little pricey. So if you want to just use some slivered almonds, that'll work as well. You could use any other nut. And the final ingredient before the dressing is some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to try this microplane for the Parmesan here. Ooh, that's nice. I like it to be kind of in like thick pieces, you know, shaved pieces. So I'm using a microplane grater here, which I don't use very often, but hey, it's nice for this. Now for the dressing, I'm sure you're starting to see a pattern. It's very similar to my other dressings. I'm starting with 1/3 cup extra virgin olive oil. And to that, I'm gonna add, I'm actually not using the white balsamic, you could, but I'm going to use, this is a white wine vinegar. So white wine or red wine vinegar. So I'm gonna use a tablespoon of that. And then I'm gonna use some lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. There we go. And then 1 tablespoon of the stone ground mustard or whole grain mustard. These don't need to be exact. Then we'll add a little salt and pepper. And give that one a whisk. Go ahead and add our dressing to the salad. It's gonna look beautiful. Lovely. I'm gonna give that a toss, and this is ready to serve. Okay, our last salad is a Caesar salad, and this is one I make really every week. I probably make it the most of all of these, so it's one of our family's favorite. The kids love it. It's so easy to add a protein and you have a whole meal. So I've just got some romaine hearts here. And I know this is another long video, but I just have so much stuff that I want to share with y'all, so many tips, so many tricks. I actually cut out one of the salads I was going to show you. I'm going to have to save that for another video, so trust me, I'm trying to keep these short. Okay, so now we're just going to chop these into slices, and you are correct that we have not washed it yet, but that's no problem. We're going to do this first. The other way to wash romaine can be to like pull off each leaf, wash each leaf individually, and that to me is way too much trouble. So this is what I do instead. We're going to put that in our salad spinner here. And then same thing we did with the kale. We're just going to give it a few rinses and then dry it off. Rinse and dry here. A lot of water down there, so you want to pour that out. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Your lettuce will never dry. And then we can dry this off a little bit with a paper towel or a dish towel. Again, we're just trying to avoid having, watery lettuce in our salad. Okay, now for the Caesar dressing. This one is really easy. We're going to start with 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan. Next is 1/4 cup Hellmann's mayo. So then we're going to add 1/2 cup Greek yogurt. Let's scoop that up. And this is all, kind of approximate. Just don't worry, it's fine. It's fine, it's fine. There we go. So there's our main ingredients. Now we'll add from 2 to 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. I was doing 3 tablespoons, but then my kids said, Mom, it's too tart. So I switched down to 2. Feel free to use whatever you like. I'll start with 2 and maybe a little extra. Next is 2 teaspoons of stone ground mustard, about. And then the key to this dressing really is the 1 teaspoon of anchovy paste. And this is so much easier than buying like a can of anchovies and having to mince them up. So we're going to use probably about 1 to 2 teaspoons depending. And I am doing this in a separate bowl just to kind of mix these up. And we add our anchovy and Dijon or stone ground mustard right into the yogurt mayo Parmesan mix and lemon. We can give this a stir. And the next ingredient is some salt and pepper and then some garlic. Now there's plenty of salt in the Parmesan, so you don't need a lot to add. And then we'll do our pepper and then our garlic. So however much, from 1 to 2 cloves minced garlic, add that in. And then this is done. Your Caesar dressing, love this. So now the last thing I want to show you before we throw this together is a quick hack for incredible garlic croutons. If you're buying croutons in the box, you need to stop now. Try this. So what this is a loaf of garlic bread that you can buy in our freezer section at our grocery store, and you just pop it open and bake it. And I do it often as a quick, side to go with pasta or something. My kids love it. Just going to use 1 portion of that, and you want to bake it so it gets nice and crisp. And then we're just going to cut this into croutons, and then we can crisp it up a little more if we want to. So kind of some bite-sized croutons, and they're seasoned just right. The smell is incredible. Your whole kitchen will smell like garlic, and we really didn't have to do that much work, except kind of warm up and chop some bread, which is pretty easy. And you've got all these nice warm garlic croutons. My kids love these. They're always like, more croutons. Okay, so there's our croutons. And again, if you like them really crisp, put them back in the oven at a low oven, like 250 or 300, and just crisp them up a little bit more. And then we can put the salad together. Yay! So we'll add our lettuce to a nice big white platter. And then we have our garlic croutons. You just add those on. Then we'll add our dressing, and then of course some more Parmesan cheese. If you like to grate it on, and the kind of shavings is nice. And this would be wonderful for any of the upcoming holidays, or like I said, we eat it for dinner with something really every week. And it's a great way for my kids to get some veggies, so I like that. Thanks so much for joining us on Marie's Kitchen. Today we made a whole spread of salads, and I know the video was long, but I really wanted you to have all of these options in time for the holidays. We've got the marinated broccoli salad, gorgeous rainbow of colors. We've got the roasted beet salad, which is really easy to throw together. The kale apricot almond parmesan salad with the mustard vinaigrette. And finally, our weekly favorite Caesar salad with some Caesar dressing and some quick and easy shortcut garlic croutons. So I can't wait to hear if you try any of these. Please let me know if you do. I really love to hear back from you. Also, let me know if you plan to try one, which one it is. I would love to hear which one looks most interesting to you. So leave me a comment and let me know. Also, if you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. It means so much to me and also to YouTube. That's how they decide if anyone else will see this video. So just hit that like button. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. I've got lots more videos coming up with easy recipes just like this, and I don't want you to miss any of them. For all of these recipes, head over to my website, mariesaba.com. There you can go and print out each of these recipes as well as more, put them in a notebook, and make your very own Marie's Kitchen cookbook for free. My goal is to give you some really easy recipes that turn out great every time so you can build some confidence in the kitchen and feel really inspired to share good food with people that you love. From my kitchen to yours, thank you. Guess I should try a bite. Right. I'll try the kale and the almond and the apricot. So good. The tangy from the mustard and the vinegar against the sweet and then the nutty. It's just an explosion of flavors. So good. My broccoli salad, I'll make sure it's up to par with what my dad usually does. Marinated, delicious, fresh, colorful. Love that one. These two I'm not going to try because I've had them before, but trust me, they're delicious. I didn't put the dressing on them yet because I'm going to serve them probably this one for dinner tonight and this one for dinner the next night. So I'm trying to save those. Maybe one more piece. Yum.